Yeah.
I'm Kenneth. I'm the podcast fool.
The designated
The
fool.
designated fool. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was here in Madison for my undergraduate and for master's program, and now I'm doing PhD, or will be, um, at Carnegie Mellon. So that's cool and everything. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess that's my credentials.
Can I say I don't think I am. I think I'm not actually a co-host implies amount of ownership, which I do not have. Oh, are you live streaming this?
I'm going to, yeah.
Okay. I don't. I think I didn't mean co-host. I mean co-speaking on this podcast. I guess this is Jeremy's podcast, and I do not have ownership of it.
You know how like in papers they say like equal first co-authorship,
Right.
like
Yeah.
this asterisk. So Jeremy has the asterisk by his name,
Right. Yeah.
and you're like the second author.
Yeah.
It
That's
doesn't
kind of
have the asterisk
of like this specific
yeah.
like recording. I guess not like not the project in general. Anyway, should we wait? Should we give background about how we kind of know each other, or is that like not important?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right.
How did we meet? So I remember how Kenneth and I met, I think. Oh boy, my laptop really doesn't like this.
Oh, the live streaming.
Yeah, it's a live streaming, it's video recording, anyways. And I think Reid and I, we probably met similarly through EA stuff.
Yeah.
I'm interested in how you two met. How did you guys meet? Because you were before my time.
Yeah. So, yeah, we met through Effective Altruism UW Madison student organization that we were a part of.
Yeah.
I think I remember the first time I met you.
Really?
I think it was at the end of fellowship dinner.
That's probably
at Tenny Park,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we were talking about religion. And I think,
okay.
and I think,
yeah.
and I think you were talking about how like you like believed in God or something.
Yeah.
And I think you had like a very like loose like canonically Christian definition of God.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh, this is very interesting. I didn't expect to talk to a religious person at an Effective Altruism dinner.
This seems like a Kenneth 1.0 thing from what
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. So, that is really good.
Mm-hmm. And then we were part of the same student organization for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met you at that same student organization.
Yes.
And then later, you went on to be one of the founding members of Wisconsin AI Safety Initiative.
So funny thing is like I was not actually one of the founding members. I was one of the. I mean, I guess I was one of the founding members, but like not a founding leader. I was one of the first participants.
Yeah, I'd say I'd call you in spirit.
In spirit, yeah, sure.
I think you were probably pretty integral to like the foundational culture of WASI.
It's true. Sure.
And then I joined later.
Yes, you did.
And then Kenneth also joined, not so much on the leadership, but like on the. Well, did you?
I don't think he ever had a formal leadership role.
No, I didn't have a formal leadership role.
But in the conversation groups, he was a juggernaut. So.
He whispered in the ear of the waist of the
Yes, he did. Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, whispered. Sometimes shouted.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive introductions.
Okay.
Is this still recording? I have to ask that every time.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's at 77%. I think we're golden.
Nice. All right, we're rolling. We are rolling.
So, do you want to talk about content creation since that was the
Sure.
topic before we started introductions?
Yeah. So, let's see. What is there to say? So, in terms of content creation, what I've done previously was, I think when I was like 12 or something, I had a YouTube channel and I posted Roblox tutorials. And I'm pretty sure I got 100 subscribers. I might be hallucinating, but I'm like pretty sure. It was certainly at least 10. I'm pretty sure it's 100.
Okay.
But yeah. And I did learn lessons from having posted like 5 videos. It was very interesting. I posted videos of like an engineering game, and like I built a tutorial on how to make like a walker, like a mechanical walker
On Roblox.
on Roblox. Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
then it was really fun because like it was a pretty niche game at the time. And then like a few weeks after the video, like I'd see people with my exact design.
Really? Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, it was. I knew it was my design because specifically like, so to make a walker, you need like two, like what do you call these motors? I guess you need like two motors, and the way you set them up was like they were rotating in different directions. So to put that across in the video, I color coded them. One was red, one was blue. And then I saw people with the design, and it's like their axles were red and blue. And I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. But yeah, so like, and then I like took a break, I guess, from content creation. I never really started in the first place. And then recently this year, I started a blog because I was in this English class, and one of the assignments was like write a sci-fi. So that was pretty neat, and I wanted to share it with people, so I just put it up on the blog.
Oh, do you have creative writing on your blog?
Yes, the very first one.
Whoa. Okay, I don't think I've actually read anything from your blog yet. I've read the headlines.
Okay. There's a post that was published today that I've been sitting on for like a few weeks.
I saw that.
Go read it.
Yeah. That was quite good.
Thanks, appreciate it. But yeah, so the blog's been my outlet for a bit, and then I don't know. I guess I'm starting up YouTube videos again because I tried live streaming that one thing. Maybe I'll try making actual videos. Who knows? But yeah, I don't really have expectations for it currently, but I do know like I probably want to try something over the summer where I commit to something because like what happens with these things is like regularity is like a pretty key part of things. Is like you're posting every week, you're posting every month, whatever. And so far I've just been like laissez-faire, like whatever I have an idea, I'll put it up. But if I wanted to actually try making stuff for other people, which is how you get traffic, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Can I ask, like, is this like, I think before we started recording, maybe it's, but like I asked, so are you intentionally upskilling on content creation, and like if so, like is it like, I guess is this something just like something fun to try out, or do you see like is there some like reason if you are upskilling, so it kind of seems like you are, like is there a reason you're trying to do this?
Like career-wise?
I guess I think most things I think about, I sort of think about through the frames of a career.
Yeah.
And that might be weird, but I feel like this group of people probably thinks about that. So like I'm guessing you have inklings about like how this could affect your career in the future.
This is true. I don't know. So I did hop on a call with one of my friends who has a YouTube channel, and he's going to give me $100 if he doesn't upload by Friday. I was going to give him $100 if I didn't publish my blog post, but I did. So, I also, in case you're wondering, in the event that we both missed it and we would have to give each other $100, we were going to donate it. So
Oh, I like that.
Either way. But anyways, why did I bring him up? Oh yeah, because he was talking to me about careers this morning, and then there were 4 things on the list, but the first one was like AI ML jobs. The second was like YouTuber upskilling stuff.
Right.
And that was like, oh, that's interesting, because like this whole time with the blog, I've never put the option up to subscribe with real money. With this YouTube thing, like 99% of my videos are unlisted. One of them is called like Madison Squirrel, and it's just 12 seconds of a squirrel. And I don't think I've actually put effort into the content and stuff because I know it would take a lot of work. All this to say, until you brought it up just now, I don't think I ever really considered it a career thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But can you give like a brief explanation of like why? Again, yeah, why do you want to do content creation? Is it just like a fun thing to do, just an interesting project, or like there's some deeper reason?
Yeah, I think something that I've realized I was really bad at is just like noticing what I think is fun and then doing more of that thing. This is pretty fun.
Yeah,
I want to do more of it.
okay.
So let's do that. That's the short answer is like let's do more fun things.
All right, cool.
Yeah. And then I guess this segues into like, because you were telling me you wanted to put out like some sort of YouTube video or something on AI history. Like, how's that going?
So
And like,
far,
what's the background behind it?
yeah. Yeah, so basically, like I said, I am recently graduated, looking for a job, um, as you know, as it relates to the effective altruism mindset. I'd like to find a job that's like somewhat impactful, um, and just one thing that like I don't know, I like the idea of like content creation in general, whether it means like writing a blog or like making a podcast or like YouTube videos. Like it seems like a fun thing to do. I consume a lot of content as it were. Spend too much time watching YouTube videos. I feel like I have thoughts on like what makes a good YouTube video or not. And so I'm like, so kind of the same thing. Like, okay, this seems like a fun thing to do. I kind of want to try it out. And now I have the free time to try it out. And then also in the back of my mind, it's like, if this is like being some communicating important ideas could be a reasonably like, you know, impactful career to have. So like this is like so you can sort of marry these two things like lightly like trying out like, am I good at this? Is it fun? Can I see myself doing this on any sort of regular basis? And like, so I guess that's like that. That's my thoughts about what I want to do. And so, just the first thing oh god, I guess I'm saying on a public thing. So
You gotta commit now.
yeah, the first thing I'm thinking about, just because like it seems like something that like someone would do, and I have like ideas of how I might do it, is creating a video about the history of AI and about like the cycles of like hype and attention, and then the AI winters, and then in the end, I feel like I want to make the argument that like the current rate of like progress we see in AI is like somewhat unusual and like different from the past cycles and something to pay attention to. Um, and so maybe I'd like to. Right now I'm doing the initial research. Maybe want to write a script and then maybe want to make a YouTube video of that just as like a initial test. Is this something I want to do?
Sick.
Nice. We'll be excited to see that come out, and we will be, at your door with pitchforks and knives if you promised it and it doesn't come out by the promised date.
Cool.
So
Awesome. Yeah.
We'll be supporting you. I guess I'll also publicly commit because I feel like it is a good idea. I thought about it a couple of times, but I was like kind of like I don't know. Like I feel like naturally speaking, video is not my like preferred format, and I know I'm not like a great editor or whatever. But I don't know, like I could just live stream random thoughts or something. I feel like and that's a niche. And then I could do the more like refined sort of thinking in writing, I guess is what I thought.
So you currently have a blog.
Yes, I do.
Why do you write on a blog?
I mean, I guess like I guess I say like I write for myself, but I also write for other people. So it's like I do write because like some people do read it from time to time. I also write because the ideas I just have like some ideas that I need like would like to I don't know communicate, and like also that I'd like to like refine in my own head, like so I think it has been like helpful like as like a learning experience and everything too. Like I learn a lot like when I'm writing things, and then like sometimes I have like a thought of like to write something, and then I'm like just to clarify, I'll go out and do a search on it or something, and I'll be like, oh, well, I have to change what I thought because I was a bit wrong about it, or whatever. So those are the reasons I write, I guess. Also, I guess it's just a habit now or whatever. So
Yeah, you do pump them out like at a pretty prodigious rate, I think.
yeah, varies, but I do like to, put things out there.
Yeah.
Do you guys find that like, because both of you have blogs, do you guys find that like writing ideas like do you find, are your ideas better because like you're writing them down, or like more accurate, or like more insightful?
I think forcing myself to put it on paper gives it a rigidity and like clarity bar that I need to clear that it normally wouldn't be otherwise. And like it can be really humbling to have like an idea that you think is like crystal clear in your head, and then you try to put it down and you're like, what the fuck is
I know.
It's like, what the hell is this? And then you know, this is the fun part, is like you say, okay, I think I mean this. Not quite. I think I actually mean this. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Oh shit, I didn't even think of that. And then you like, you know, you add more stuff in, and like, you know, sometimes it's a grind, but like when you get into that, it's really fun. So, and then you know, then you end up with like something you can share with other people, and it's like more insightful than you would have originally probably, and then now it lives forever on the internet, which means like if an employer runs a background check, you know, they have more background on you and more reason to not hire you. But you don't
Yeah, I
think
thought
about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking the opposite, where it's like, oh yeah, that's good, because then you have a proven like sample of work that like shows you're good at doing things like that.
True.
Which is like, that's one of the other main reasons I want to like do. I want to have some sort of project, because like a lot of like the roles I have applied for in the past, who want to apply for, it's like it's the type of thing where work samples are gonna like, you know, having work samples like kind of can help you get in the door for places. So I can just get more sort of writing samples or something.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that was a reason for me too.
Work samples, really?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the original reason, but it became a reason. In some ways, it may still be a reason. What was I thinking? Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I agree with what you said, Jeremy. Like, it does get you to like clarify your thinking. I think it's a good side of like being an intellectual, because like the bad side is like when you, which I really is like a huge pet peeve of mine, when like people are like, they have like the theory going in, and then they're like try to fit everything to the theory.
Oh no.
Yeah, but which is way too common, unfortunately. But I think, yeah, the flip side and the good side of things is when like you know, you go in with your theory or whatever, and then like you learn more, and then you're like, well, I was kind of wrong about that. This is like kind of how I changed my mind, or whatever, you know.
It's a good avenue to like, because otherwise you're just like thinking in a vacuum. But like when you put it out there, it helps. Other people think onto it. They can say you're wrong, and you're like, you're wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten any engagement yet, but maybe if we all seriously commit to this creation thing, should we form like a content house, guys?
Yeah. Totally.
Like, here's the thing. I'd be, if I got positive feedback on like what I'm doing, I'd be very happy to do it, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like
it's premature.
yeah, you know, it wouldn't be advisable to like, okay, we're all gonna move in together and start doing things. I feel like you want to like get some sort of positive feedback, saying like, oh yes, this makes sense to start on. I don't like it's mirror image. Anyway, sorry. You want to have some sort of positive feedback before like you say, okay, I can like, it makes sense to devote more of my time to this. On the other hand, like the other school of thought is like, well, if this is what you want to do, then your highest chances of getting there is if you like devote like significant effort first, which is another way of thinking about it. But I guess that seems like the more risky way to like spend all my energy for a year, and then nothing happens for a year, and then it's like, well, what did I do for that year? I could have been doing something else, and
Yeah, I think the natural answer is to scope it, right? Like spend all your energy for a day first, and
Right.
a week,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
I'm spending some significant percentage of my energy on this first thing, and then we'll see from there. I think the main signal I'm looking for is like, did I enjoy it? Am I proud of myself, or something like whatever sort of external engagement it gets.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
I think that is a good policy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like also you don't have to spend like all of your time doing it. Like,
Mhm.
and I think like I feel like yeah, if you're starting off as like whatever, writer, content creator, artist, I don't know, whatever's in that category, like you probably shouldn't go like, well, this is my whole life now. I'm
Right.
gonna do this and really rely on that to make me money or whatever. Um, I mean, I wouldn't have done that. And obviously I didn't do it, but like, and I wouldn't say that anyone else should do it just because like I don't think that it's really holds up to like betting, you know. But I feel like yeah, like especially when you have like more free time and you can just like put some of that into that or whatever, it still work.
Are you guys aware and or concerned about the phenomenon where like talking about something you're going to do like gives your brain the dopamine that like of like that you already did the thing, and then so you're less likely to do it if like you talk a lot about it, because like in your mind like, oh, I already did it, and then you feel less motivated to do it. So like some people say if you want to do something you should just like do it first before you tell people that you're doing it.
Has this been verified by science?
That is true. It does. Like in hindsight, it does sound like the kind of replication crisis thing, huh? Or it's
I guess
I'm
yeah.
just saying it's like it is plausible, but like I
Yeah.
think it could go either way. You
Yeah.
know.
I guess I've heard talking heads talk about it, so I don't know if they verified it or not. But
I don't know. In practice, what I've learned is like maybe like I don't know if it's like on the list of things that prevent me from like publishing my stuff. It's probably like 10th on the list of like telling other people prematurely, because it's like
yeah,
I'll
sure.
avoid talking about it maybe, but like also like talking to people leads to good ideas. So it's like
And it
Yeah.
makes you excited,
yeah.
and it's some amount of accountability.
Yeah, but yeah, like there's like a power law of like how much things stop me from publishing, and like it varies like what's first on that list. For a while it was like, oh, what will other people think? Oh, I don't have anything to write. And then there's like, I could put you as like a huge thing of like all these different like little excuses that I had to chop down one by one. And it's like, I'm just gonna do it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Something I guess I worry about it somewhat. More as the back of the mind thing. I don't think it's actually really driving much of my decisions. But something I try to think about to get around it is like, you know how sometimes like you see something on YouTube or like somewhere and you're like, oh, I could do that better than that person,
Yeah.
right? Well, it's like until you make the thing, like you're not like you haven't done anything yet, so you don't deserve any sort of gratification for thinking you can do something better until you actually do it better. And like so I looked at like what's like the history of AI, and like I wasn't super impressed for what I saw. Like, oh, I could totally do that, do something better than that. But I can't allow that to be like to like make me feel good, because like as of right now, like what I've created is like worse than what they've created because I haven't actually done anything. So
I think this is real, and it's also like once you publish your first thing, Reid, whatever it may be, you will shift into a different mindset. At least I did, where it was like I published my first post, and then it was either Kenneth or like someone else liked it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is what it feels like when people do it.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is amazing. Like I need to start like liking people's stuff. I made a conscious effort for like when people publish stuff to like tell them specific things about the thing that like I enjoyed or like engaged with. It's like like leaving comments on posts, and also like brushing off people that give like unconstructive criticism of stuff. Like you said, like looking at this video and being like, I could do it better. Okay, then do it. It's like, like you're not helping anyone by saying this. Like this does not add anything. So like disregard it.
Yeah. I will corroborate that. Yeah, you do become. It does become different. It's different. You're like, oh, this is why people say like and subscribe at
Yes.
their videos, and maybe at the beginning of their videos, and maybe in the middle. Like because it's like, oh, as a viewer, it's like annoying, but then you're like, as the creator, it's like, oh, like you do kind of see like, oh, like it does like take like a lot of effort. So
I think this is like I think this is why I don't know. At least so specifically what I'm thinking of is like there's this one person's blog I follow, Chip Quinn. She does like ML stuff. And then there's this one line on the blog that's like, yeah, I really like to help support startup people because I was one myself and I know how it goes. And like I kind of got that. Like that makes sense. But like as somebody's like dipped like 1% of my toe into the waters of like making something, I can get why you're like so radically supportive of other people creating things because it's like, you know, I don't know, like a lot goes into it. That's it's hard to explain.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a threshold in your mind of like how valuable something has to be before like you're gonna like before you actually put it in the world? Because like part of me thinks that like I could, and maybe this is like just rationalization for why I haven't done something. But I have the feeling a lot. It's like, oh, I could publish something. I could publish a blog post of just like, I don't know. Sometimes I have an interesting thought, and like, oh, I could theoretically, write something about that and publish it online. But then it's like, but like, I don't know, like, do I need to just like give my thoughts on this like random thing that's like not very well fleshed out? Is that like valuable, or like should I wait until like I can have something that's like more valuable? Do some sort of research or make it more rigorous before I actually do it. And do you guys have like thoughts about this? Like, oh yeah, like what's like the threshold for like what's valuable enough to actually publish and like put out into the world?
This is a good question. Yeah.
I would say like probably don't overthink it. Like I feel like what works best for me in terms of like motivation is like being like, is this something that I really care about? And like, does this make me happy to write about it or whatever? Or like, and like, I guess you learn like with hindsight, like you think about, oh, this thing I wrote, I still like it. This thing I wrote, maybe I don't agree with it anymore. I don't know. But I think that just happens. Like, it's part of the process. And like, maybe someone else likes it. I don't know. Like, they can adopt your piece or whatever, But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Because like at some point, I think like if you go too much for like value or whatever, and then it's like, well, I mean, it's not really authentic anymore. And then like, because like it's also like, especially if you're starting out, like a lot of your motivation does have to be intrinsic, I think. Like you're not going to be having like thousands of people like, oh my god, you're amazing, like so a lot of it does have to be like, oh well, I actually am interested in this, like and like knowing that like because you're not reaching like millions of people, maybe like this won't have like that much of an impact. So then what? Like, what keeps me going through the time where I maybe am not like reaching a ton of people or whatever.
Yeah, I'll echo what Kenneth said on the thing of like, I do think it has to be intrinsic. And also, I don't know, at least for me, it's a lot of perspective busting. Like when you get into creation, because like when you're writing, let's say, like it's a constant tightrope between like editing and creating, right? Like this is gonna go out, or like I'm not satisfied with this, versus like creating something. Like you can go all the way in one direction where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna like word vomit, and then you can go all the way in another direction where it's like I'm so stuck because like it's just like it's not right, and then so you just like end up sitting on a draft and like it rots. And like there is a point, at least in my writing, I'm finding where it's like if I sit on it long enough, I like start hammering the authenticity out of it because I think, oh, this is how it's gonna sound. So it's I want to hit that sweet spot where it's like, this is good enough. I'm gonna send it. And then in terms of like value for other people, I don't know. There's like all kinds of perspectives that I'm realizing. It's like that. I think a lot of like stuff that holds you back, if you just find a different way to look at it, like that's how you get around it. So it's like, okay, I'm publishing this to no viewers. This
Right.
live stream is gonna have like 0 concurrent viewers.
So we have 3, and it's gonna be 3 of us.
Yeah, exactly. So why am I doing this? Well, like one perspective I found online was like, oh, it's like you're building up like a binge archive where it's like you notice like you have this huge YouTuber, but they didn't start that way, and the only reason their old videos have views is because like people found them when they were popular,
Right.
like wanted to binge watch their old stuff, so they went back to the beginning and then started. So like I'm starting my archive right now. So like, that's one positive perspective. What about like, yeah, it's like it's also like I don't know, at least for me, like what I'm learning through all this is like the self-censoring stuff, like the self like I'm gonna wait until I'm ready to put this out. Like it's just a constant like choosing not to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Which is like I don't know, it's freeing, I guess. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like one advantage of like I could see about it is like it's like almost like muscle. It's like practicing, like creating a live stream is it's like it's exercising the muscles of creating things.
Yes.
So then once you actually have something truly valuable that people want to see, like you have like the strength and the practice to like actually produce that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in practice, certainly.
Yeah.
I think like another thing that I just remembered was like I'll forward this vlog to you guys once I'm done. But there's this guy Ben Kuhn, Kuhn. He has this article called "How and Why to Write Things on the Internet," and then there's a list of like writing excuses. This is another thing I have in the drafts is like a list of writing excuses, and then like whenever I don't want to write, I just go back to the internet, write down what I'm feeling, and then I answer it. Yeah, one of them is like, okay, what if I'm wrong? Like, or like, what if later on I disavow this thesis? And then he's like, yeah, okay, so there's like a couple of things. You can just delete it if you want. That's always an option. There's like, you can post a follow-up a year later where you're like, I no longer believe this thing. Here's why.
That's more content.
And that is more content. You could have someone else that's like a larger following than you dunk on your thing, and then it's like,
that's engagement.
And then you repost it, say, I fully agree.
yeah, then it's like, yeah, this totally swayed me, and like, as long as you're being intellectually honest about it, like, I don't think there's no harm in you follow. Like, you know, it's the thing where it's like, if you're not looking back at the stuff you posted like 3 years ago, for me, it's like a day ago, or like a week ago, or like an hour ago. If you're not looking at your old stuff and saying, wow, I really could have done this better, you're not improving. So it's like, you know, you gotta let it go. You gotta like put it out where it's at and just leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm second that. Cause I want to do like a redo of like my first couple of posts.
Yeah.
Because like I often think back on when I'm like, oh, this is unorganized, unpolished, a lot of stuff that I think could be said better, so on and so forth. But yeah, I feel like so that, and then there's like, as you said, like the practice part of it. I think I did get better at writing because like I practiced. Like the first time I was just not as good at it.
Yeah. And then that's another advantage of publishing stuff when you're not ready, is like when you are like years down the line, you look at your stuff and you're like, wow, look at the skill gap here. It's pretty neat. Yeah.
I guess like right now, if I was going to, I'm like, I think this is probably the correct thing to do. It's just like tomorrow, like I should just like write a page of something, or just like some amount of thing. Like if I was going to do this, I'd like some interesting like philosophical thought that I have, and just like, okay, somewhat word vomit, edit it like a little bit, and have this thing, and then create a blog and just post that. That seems to me like the correct thing to do. And the things stopping me from doing that, it feels like are stopping me from doing that is like, well, like I don't think this is very true, but like one thought that crosses my mind is like I think like but like yeah, like it's like the value thing, like how valuable is it me just like giving some philosophical thought that like, you know, someone else has probably had, like this probably isn't that important. So that's one thing. It's like this isn't that like that helpful or important to share. But I think the main thing that stops me is just like I don't even think it's like fear of like producing a bad thing. I think honestly the main thing is just like some amount of laziness. It's like I wake up tomorrow and like there's like things I want to do today. It's like how high on this list of priorities is writing this thing. You know, and I'm like, I'll probably just do something. Like maybe I'll instead I'd be like, oh, I'd rather work on like this other like the other project I was talking about. I feel like that's like what I'm more excited about, so I'll do that. Even though I feel like that would be worse for me because like the best thing for me is just like to publish something tomorrow. Um, yeah, so I think I don't know. And then there's like the argument that's like people say, oh, then just write something for 1 hour, like set a timer for 1 hour, and like whatever you've done in 1 hour, that's all you need to do. But then it's like I don't think I'd produce anything good in 1 hour. And then it is a bit like, oh, that'd be kind of cringy to like to show something to the world that I only made in 1 hour because like I don't think it'd be that good. But.
Oh, you should read Jeremy's latest post.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's exactly about this phenomenon.
All right. Cool.
But, yes. I guess two things. So on the topic of on this like small fear that you think it's like I'm not saying anything new.
Mm-hmm.
No one's saying anything new.
Oh yeah.
And it's also
under the sun.
yeah, it's like there's also like, you know, consider this is one perspective I found like really nice was like, okay, maybe nobody would have come up like maybe like your friends or whoever's reading your stuff wouldn't have come across that idea unless you were the one who said it. Like it came from your filter and like that's helpful. But yeah, as you said, the main thing, laziness, 100% agree. I think Kenneth and I, like we talked about this a while ago. You probably don't remember this conversation, but it was like we were both agreeing like, yeah, if the world wasn't the way it was, then we would both just be like blobbing out. Like, I think that's the natural state of a human being is
Right.
like not doing anything. So like Kate Hall has this great post. I'll forward this to you as well. It's called "Tying Yourself to the Mast," and it's about Odysseus and how is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. And then like you know like when he's going past the Isle of the Sirens, he like ties himself to the mast so like he doesn't like jump off the boat and like go swim out, right? So the post is about like commitments and stuff. So like and commitment devices. So it's like the argument is like if you really wanted to do this thing, and it's not just like a nice thing to have done. If you really want to do it, you'll commit yourself to it in some way. And then this might look different for different people. I have this thing on my phone where it's like if I'm not let's see, if I don't send a photo of myself outside of my house by 9, then I give the app makers $20 or something like that. And that's because I don't want to rot.
Right.
And like I'm serious about that, so I'm putting serious money on the line. This might look like telling a friend that you're gonna do this. It might be me texting you guys, let's do a podcast at 6. And then you guys are gonna be really disappointed if I'm just like in bed and not doing that.
Right.
So yeah, if you are serious about that stuff, consider finding ways that work for you, right? Because like if it's too badly designed, and like maybe you'll fail at this commitment thing, but like if it's too badly designed and you don't follow it, like that's not helping you either. Like if you're putting like too much on yourself to do, that's not good.
Yeah.
So like find something that works. Really listen to what actually works, and then you'll be producing more stuff. Yeah.
It seems like very 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 solid advice. Stuff I should listen to.
Kenneth, do you have a post in the hopper right now? I know you just published on protests. Oh yeah, Reid. We gotta take you to our writer meetups because
Yeah. Okay, that would be great. That'd be a great time for me to like write something
Yes.
for an hour.
I will say anecdotally, like people do seem to get stuff done at this.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think Kenneth wrote a lot of, or at least did research on protests during our last session,
Yeah.
right?
I think I wrote most of it. I don't know, maybe.
Sick.
Um,
It worked. I'm so happy about this.
yeah, so that's my latest one, I guess. And then right now I'm working on a couple of things. So I have part 3 of my series on neoliberalism, Marxism, and then I also have I have one that is like related to, I guess, like chaos theory and applications to social sciences. It's interesting that like like there are times in your life when like things kind of come together like intellectually and like you kind of feel you are being like attracted in a certain intellectual direction. And I think this is like one of those things where it's like there's serendipitously there are a couple of different like things that are pulling me towards this like idea, which is quite interesting. So there's those things, and then I do hope to like kind of after that maybe like go to like other topics because I've been writing about this sort of stuff for a while. I think.
Makes sense. I do think it like one thing I've also learned is like strike while the iron's hot. So it's like if you're in that intellectual attraction basin, then you should stay there for a bit and write what needs to be written.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like side tangent is the chaos theory thing related to like the physics thing you were talking to me about, or is that a different thing?
Oh, that's different.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, so the other thing was false vacuum decay or whatever. Go look it up.
Scary.
Be depressed or whatever. I don't know. Not that depressed. But no, that's not. I don't think it's related. But chaos theory is very interesting, and so yeah. I also like. I don't know if like Taleb used or was like aware of like I would assume that he was at least to some degree because he has like mathematics background, but like an anti-fragile I think also like a lot of like this same kind of ideas are basically there without being named as like chaos theory.
How far are you through Anti-Fragile?
I finished the first part, I think out of 4, and maybe a good chunk through the second.
I may try it again. I do remember picking it up like a few years ago, being like, this writing pisses me off, and also like I don't understand.
No,
this.
it does. He is one of those writers who he's very acerbic, maybe is the word.
What does acerbic mean?
I guess like angry,
Bitter.
just bitter almost. Yeah, like yeah, he definitely is not one to hold back when he thinks that you are incompetent. Let's say he does not necessarily maybe always give you the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like I was like I saw things where it's like, okay, I can see like, you know what, it's still worth reading. I'll go through it. And I was like, oh, you know, it is interesting. And I think I was like glad that I like pushed through that, like the initial kind of like, oh my God, like, okay, am I part of the group of people that you're insulting? Like, you know, because he does kind of go hard after like basically like intellectuals, and I'm an intellectual. So what does that mean? Like, are you saying that I'm a cold, envious fool who wants to win a Nobel Prize? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, so, I don't know, but I thought I was just like, okay, I just think the ideas are really cool. And I mean, seems like he's right. Like, you know, he did win a lot of money from believing the things that he believes. So,
Yeah.
Do you guys want to give me a summary of what this book, Anti-Fragile, is about?
I haven't read it, so I don't know. Like I've just seen the term and how it's used, but I'm sure the book goes into a lot more than that. So
Okay. And you were also, and it relates to chaos theory, which I also don't know about, but you were interested in talking about.
Yeah. So anti-fragile is, so I guess in our world, we have the idea of fragile, right?
like those glasses.
Like the glasses, and then we have the idea of like resilient, I guess, which is
like this Nalgene water.
Like
yeah,
being
exactly. But what he's thinking is like there's this other thing which is anti-fragile, which is not only it's not just indifferent to, you know, let's say perturbation or something. It actually benefits from, maybe even requires it. And so that's kind of like the thesis of the book is that, and then like also that like modern centralized systems that we have like artificially suppressed it to a degree that is like unhealthy, and like that results in, you know, bad things that are happening. And then like a lot of criticism of like, you know, the, let's say, intellectual and political elite, I think, as well, of like for kind of being the doctor that does more harm than good, or at least does, a comparable amount. If one wants to be charitable with his, although I think he probably would say more harm than good. But I think, I think it makes sense. Like I agree roughly with like the reviewers who say, maybe he goes too far sometimes, maybe he's wrong about some things, but nevertheless, like his ideas on the whole are worth like reading and engaging with and thinking deeply about, even if you might feel a bit insulted by him. Yeah, so that's anti-fragility, and so chaos theory.
Wait, so can I ask about like well, if you want to move on with this topic, like I want to can you give me an example of like an anti-fragile system that he lists and like what makes it anti-fragile?
I have a kid example.
Okay, yeah.
You ever watch Dragon Ball? What? Okay, sorry, this is a different discussion.
Okay.
Kenneth,
That's like the Kamehameha and like in Goku.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I guess like one example is
You're almost out of frame of just
He's good. He's
okay,
good.
okay, sorry.
So one example is like, I mean, many examples are living examples, I guess, and so this is one of the points that he makes. But like one example is like, you might imagine that, like some amount of exposure to like disease or allergens or whatnot, like even pollutants, poisons, gives you a natural immunity to those things. So it actually is beneficial. And if you like overly artificially control the environment around somebody, like that can actually make them more fragile to, to diseases or to other sorts of things, more unhealthy in general, whatever, So this is just like kind of, that's like one example. I guess like, so, oh, this is one you might like because you're electrical engineering. But one of the examples he mentioned is called like a governor.
Okay.
And it was like this thing that's supposed to like basically like stabilize the, I guess maybe the output or like the running of like a machine or something like that. Hence why it's called a governor, I guess. So like to remove like kind of random perturbations. And like, for like, local time, like it would kind of do that. But like what the inventor of that like noticed was that like at some points in time it would also like cause like violent sorts of like malfunctions, I guess, basically potentially the point of like breaking the machine, like exploding it. Mm-hmm. So it's like very interesting that like attempting to kind of suppress that led to explosion. And then economically he gives examples about like the financial crises where part of what he thinks caused those things is like, for example, like the head of the Fed, Alan Greenspan, for example, in the United States, like really trying to micromanage the economy. So let's suffice to say he's definitely not a socialist. But I think he wins my respect for just being willing to criticize anybody that he thinks is worthy of criticism. I don't think that he has necessarily some sort of ideological favorite that he plays. Like, yeah, he's even like, his ideas might appeal to libertarians, but then like when the Ukraine-Russia thing happened, and he was like in favor of like response to Russia, and he was like, oh yeah, libertarians, just because you like my ideas, don't think that I am on your side. Like, I'm still gonna disagree with you and criticize you, if I think you're wrong, which I think is great.
Can I
wait? Hold on, I'll step out of frame really quick. Reid, did you notice that nothing that Kenneth has said in like the last 5 minutes was his own idea? And it's like, but he's still providing value to this conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, step back in.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Can I hazard a guess that like, so like maybe the one reason that this guy is controversial? Does he make this argument about like I don't know, for lack of a better word, like wokeness is an example of like a control, and like by suppressing certain ideas and saying these ideas are not good to discuss, that it leads to systems breaking down because those ideas don't get discussed.
I bet he would make that argument.
Okay.
I don't know if he does directly. I think that it does seem like he kind of draws from like, not that I'm super aware of it, but like, you know, Stoic influences. I was almost thinking like he's almost like the modern, like he's kind of like Nietzschean almost. Definitely, especially in like the language about, he did mention like Apollonian versus Dionysian, which is like I think something that Nietzsche um is one of Nietzsche's ideas, I guess. And like, so it is almost kind of a like a, you know, toughen up, you know, like, you know, get out there and do something. And I definitely think that like, you know, people who are maybe tend to be more educated, intellectual, which is often people who are on like the left and who are maybe drawn into that sort of thing, would probably look at that and be maybe offended, or like have an inkling that the guy might say something like that to them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I can give a criticism of his work before actually reading or
No way.
anything about the work, I guess I've heard similar arguments that smack of things like this argument that like we've gone too far in one direction, specifically like too far in protectionism in one direction, and this caused damage on the other side. And I think this is like, there's plenty of cases where this is true. I think it's a valuable idea to have. But I think the value of those arguments hinges on like, well, like how well can you prove that this is an example of like an anti-fragile system, right? Like I like in the example of like, I don't know, like you hear people talk about this, like, you know, free speech champions, that like the reason that we see, well, I don't know, like, yeah, like the reason that you see, like, you know, the alt-right rising is because we've repressed this conversation for too long, and it's like causing a swing back in the other direction. Not that this guy is like arguing for that, but like it seems like sort of a similar argument, and like this could plausibly be true, but it also could you maybe could make the argument that like, well, because we didn't suppress it, like now it's growing because it's, you know. So I feel like you have to, that with these sorts of arguments, like the idea is interesting, but like the entire value of like applying it comes down to like, well, how exactly can you argue that like these bad effects come from like the protectionism that we've done.
Yeah.
And it may be, you know, maybe the case exactly opposite the case. Like, well, you know, I'm sure like people could probably argue for both sides, and then it becomes like not a question of like ideology, like do anti-fragile systems work, but then it's a question of research. Like, can you provide specific evidence that like this caused this and things like that, which is sort of much harder to do.
I think he would. So maybe two things. One is like, I think that there's maybe some proof of like a proof of concept of like this thing could happen, and like, you know, for example, especially the more physical, like for example, like, you know, a machine working in a certain way, you can kind of I think you can more reliably kind of prove that it's like, oh, it's because of this device that's trying to suppress, you know, the volatility, and then, you know, bam. As it applies to social situations, I think the other thing then, which I think actually is, I don't know, I think it's a simple brilliance on his part, was to like kind of think about to shift the focus from like the outside world to like the system itself, or like in the sense of it's not about trying to predict something. And so this is also the mindset I think that you would critique, is like, it's not about trying necessarily to predict everything that could hurt you, but it's trying to create a system that is itself resilient to things, or anti-fragile, and so like would survive these things which are by nature unpredictable. I guess like because and like the other thing is like that he critiques maybe like the limitations of science, but I think he does it in a, to me, I think he does it in a way which is not like, you know, pokey, like whatever, oh, I hate science. I mean, you know, sometimes he gives that vibe a little bit, but just a little bit. But I do think that like he comes at it from a way of like, there are some limitations, and I think that they've been proven to a relatively, you know, rigorous sort of like degree of like, for example, like our predictive abilities. There are a lot of things that we say about like the world that we simply cannot necessarily hard prove, you know, like the way that you can mathematically prove some sort of like like statement or like thing in like math language or whatever. Just things that are out there in the world, like in this in the domain of the social sciences, cannot be proved hard in that way.
Mhm.
At least not right now, and maybe not ever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is your plan to incorporate some of these ideas into a post, or is it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I think so. It's been like kind of a while in the thinking of it. I guess like since I wrote about a little about that like slavery, we listened to it together, Reid. The 80K podcast on slavery. And I was like, I promised to write about that the next week, and then I didn't do that because I realized that I had a lot more to learn about it. So, but yeah, there's these sorts of things. So this and like chaos theory, I think will probably be a big part of it. Yeah.
You want to talk about chaos theory, maybe how this relates?
Or is that like too early a seed of an idea?
No, I think it's good. I think so.
Okay.
Chaos theory may help to motivate some of the thinking on this. So I guess basically chaos. So you all heard of like the butterfly effect?
Mm.
Everyone knows about. Whoever's may watch this in the distant future knows maybe. But yeah, basically the idea that like very small changes to the initial conditions of a system can cause immense and unpredictable differences like down the line. So butterfly flapping their wings in Brazil could be a causal factor in a hurricane that happens in Texas or something. Theoretically. We don't know if this has actually ever happened, but and then so I don't know, I guess like so going from that, it's like when we're trying to think about like this has like immense like implications for the entire thing about like predictability about science, especially maybe in the social sciences, but even in like physics or something, like trying to predict the motion of three bodies that are like in in each other's like orbit, I guess, is pretty much impossible. Which is like that's crazy, like even physics. And then we go to the softer sciences, and we have much less information, and the world is still incredibly complex. So and much less precision and all that. So it's like, of course, like it's kind of like one of those things where it's revealing something that probably should be pretty obvious, but probably which are like cognitive biases have like conspired to prevent us from thinking of like the world is just very difficult to predict, and it's really hard to like know exactly what effect we're gonna have. And like we all think of that from time to time, and then we're like, yeah, but like I have to still do my thing, right? Like I still whatever. Like I guess like I have to still do my thing in the world. Like I can't just live with that like notion of like what I do could like just not mean anything or have the exact opposite effect of what I intended. Like that's just I don't know. Yeah, so whatever. Yeah. So I guess that's the theoretical grounding of it. Oh, and maybe the other thing too, which is like part of that idea, is that like you can have like very simple, like you all know of the concept of like generativity, I guess, right? Generativity.
Generativity.
Yeah, like
No.
that. Well, I guess basically that like, for example, with like language, like you can have like a finite like set of symbols and like operations or whatever that can generate like a very, very large, potentially you could say infinite like combination of like potential outputs.
It's a Gradal-Sherbach thing.
Probably. Yeah, I think it probably is in there somewhere.
Mm.
But it's like the same idea applies here where it's like even a very simple function can generate a really chaotic sort of like output. Like one that like even the best statistical techniques of today would be at a loss to predict. But if you knew the key, if you knew like the function that was like behind it, then you could trace this motion perfectly, which is very interesting, I guess. Yeah, so that's like kind of the other part of it, maybe, which motivates part of it as well.
Have you heard of Laplace's demon?
I have heard of it. Which demon is this one?
Yeah, so it's I think it's a related thing where it's like something about determinism and free will, where it's like if I took a snapshot of the universe at any one point and I had this like precise location and like perfect information on every atom, every quark, every like subatomic thing, and I fast forwarded that like 20 years, I could predict the future in 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chaos theory, and this is the crazy part. Is that chaos theory says that would be correct.
Yeah.
Like if you can in theory predict it, and things can, even assuming a world that is completely deterministic, this still is true. This does not rely in any part on like randomness. So it's almost like, to me, it's almost like a lower bound. It's like this is at least how crazy things are, and it could be even crazier.
Sorry.
Yeah, one thing is like, have you heard of the Borges map problem? Borges, I don't know, Borges, the
What is
sci-fi
it?
writer.
No.
Yeah, so it's I forget the exact short story he wrote it in, but it was like,
That's the person that we saw in Catfishing. It's
yes,
so funny.
yeah. Yeah, Reid, when dancing was over, we just played like games, and then one of the games was like a Wikipedia game where it's like you're given the categories that the Wikipedia article appears in, and you have to guess the title of the page.
Oh.
Yeah, and then one of them was this Brazilian Portuguese sci-fi author, like really early sci-fi author, and one of his concepts was on the inexactitude of science, I think it was, where it's like if I have a map, the only way I can make it be a perfect map is if it is exactly as large as the territory that I'm measuring. Yeah. Because otherwise I have to make, precision, accuracy, adjustments that like make it inaccurate. But sorry, I forget why I'm bringing this up. You had a
I
question?
guess. Oh yeah,
Or, yeah.
I think it ties back to like with chaos theory.
Oh right, yeah. Like the Laplace's demon, like there's no way you could get perfect information of the universe. It'd have to be as big as the universe to do that. So
Right.
It's not enough to be approximate.
yes.
What was your question, if you still remember?
I was gonna ask. I mean, isn't like and I feel like this is like a somewhat easily answerable question, but doesn't like quantum physics disprove like any possibility of determinism?
I'm not too familiar with it enough to answer that.
I don't know. I mean, like, I would think that like if you my intuition is that if you introduce randomness into the system, that would at best not really have any systematic effects on it.
Right.
I guess like it's also, I mean, yeah, maybe randomness like disproves like determinism. I don't think that it helps with like chaos. I don't know, maybe some people will use it as like an argument for free will, but I don't really find it that convincing. So it's not necessarily maybe a hugely interesting question to me,
All right. Okay.
but maybe it can be if there's the right sort of potential finding or whatever.
Yeah, it's just that, yeah, I guess because you said that chaos theory doesn't hinge on determinism existing.
Yeah, because I
being
think
two
there's
or
actually
less.
deterministic chaos and then there's stochastic chaos theory.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know as much about like stochastic chaos theory, I just know it exists.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
What we got going now?
Good question. What are you guys doing for the rest of the day?
Oh man.
This might go to. Oh wait, we could do the whimsical question. Reid, did you answer the 3 items one?
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
What did I say?
I guess for background for the one listener of the podcast, the 3 items question is this. You're in a forest in an abandoned wood. You enter upon, or you happen upon an abandoned cabin. You open the creaking door. It's like nice. And then like in the dusty floorboards, there is an old and bloody pentagram and 13 candles of different waxes. There's 3 slots in the middle of this pentagram, and you can place any 3 items in it. What 3 items would summon you? Yeah. So, do you remember your 3?
I can see what I said.
Okay.
All right, maybe
Yes,
that's like if I generate it from scratch. Okay.
Yes.
Well, one I don't know. Let's see. So one I remember that I liked was well, I like what you guys said is like you didn't just like give an item, but you gave an item with like specific like
Yes.
like
Do you want us to go first?
yeah
Relay our stuff,
relay
and
yours.
then you construct. You
Uh-huh.
reconstruct yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like Kenneth, so I'll have him go second. So mine is let's see. Yeah.
An H100.
Yeah, my silly one was an H100 because I think it'd be really neat to have a GPU like that. And I don't think like I actually don't even have the hardware to hook it up to like running this, but like if I did, it'd be pretty neat. Let's see, a pair of running shoes in which you've run the equivalent of 2 half marathons. So you can summon me by in a month.
In 2 days.
In 2 days. Is that gonna be your second half marathon?
What's that?
The
one we're gonna run together is gonna be my second. I'm
Okay.
running one on the 5th.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, nice. But yeah, so running shoes in which
Oh,
you've
2 half marathons.
Yes.
You're right. Yes,
Remember,
correct.
2 half
Okay, yeah.
marathons. What else? Oh yeah, and then some kind of paraphernalia. It might be a photo, like a voice recording, or like ashes from a campfire of a campfire conversation you've had with at least 2 other people. So like, I would spiritually count this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are my 3 items. Kenneth. Or sorry, did you have?
No. I was gonna say I just want to say with witchcraft, I think it's more about the intent than the
Yes,
specific thing, and
and
that's why I
absolutely.
think I agree it's about. I watched the Blair Witch Project recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I have thoughts about witchcraft. But...
Yeah. So I said
Also, if you want to change any of your stuff, you can.
Oh.
But I thought all 3 were very strong. Yeah.
wow, it's witchcraft. I said teardrop, but specifically motivated by the emotion of love. A butterfly's wing with the condition that the wing cannot be obtained through violence or from a butterfly who has died from unnatural causes.
That's so good.
And then any quantity of water, which people have told me, after the fact that I was like, but couldn't you use the tear for that? And then I'm like, I guess you could, yeah. So it's, I don't know, whatever. But I chose it for different reasons.
Can I ask why any quantity of water?
I think because water is like, in many ways, it's like it represents philosophically. It's like the philosophy and whatever the human consciousness idea behind water has some very cool things.
Oh, duh, grasping at waves.
Yeah.
That's the name of his blog. Okay, Reid, you have before you 2
So
pretty fun examples of the answers to this question.
yeah, I remember 2 of mine.
Okay.
So a pair of chacos is very important because like
For what?
chacos, like chaco sandals. Maybe a pair of sandals in general because I don't know if you know if I can wear sandals somewhere, if I don't have to wear socks somewhere, I'll absolutely wear sandals if I can. The other one was a hard drive containing the data for a half-finished game of Baldur's Gate.
Oh, I remember that.
Because that's currently where I'm at, and I have a hard time finishing games, and I'm like halfway through Baldur's Gate 3. I'm like, I kind of want to finish it, but it feels like a chore, which is not how I should feel about games.
Yeah.
Though it's a good game. Okay, now I gotta come up with the third one off the cuff because I can't remember one.
I will say I laughed out loud when Casey texted the group chat that one of her items was a lock of Kenneth's hair. I just thought that one of your items being someone
Yeah, that
else's
is very
property
interesting.
is very funny.
Yeah.
It's very like witch coded.
Yeah.
It
It's
fits
like
the bill.
surprise, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know what tickles me so much about that. It's like Kenneth is like a magical creature. It's like you have like a phoenix feather or something. But no, it's a
Oh,
lot of
that's fine.
Kenneth.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, keep talking because I can't think of the third one right.
You can also have a lock of my hair.
Yeah, I can't repeat.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll be
Let's see.
bald.
Why don't Kenneth? Why don't both of us think of something for Reid?
Yeah, I like
And
that.
then
I was
Oh.
just gonna ask. Yeah.
Oh.
So what do we know about Reid? What are his strengths, his weaknesses, his hobbies, his personality? And boil it down into a single item. So what I know about Reid.
Oh, I have one.
Okay. You wanna go first?
Well, you should think of it so then we can compare answers.
Okay. Let's see. So you've already said Paris Animals, Red Chocos, and then Baldur's Gate 3. I've got one.
Okay. I can go.
And give your rationale. Like
Yeah.
build up to it.
Okay.
Wait, let me first guess. First guess if I can understand it.
Oh, okay. So
Oh.
I'll say it first then. You know, on like the sale thing, when there's that like strip that kind of weight,
Nice.
that's what I was gonna do.
Okay,
Telltale?
a telltale.
Telltale. Yeah.
Nice. Does it have to
Okay.
be from a Madison boat, or can it be from any boat?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Like a
Yeah,
Hoover's
maybe
boat?
let's say it has to be from a boat that you've sailed on.
Nice.
Okay, I like
That's
that,
good.
yeah.
That's good.
Feels pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I like to sail, and that's a pretty specific esoteric part of a sailboat. That's like
Yeah.
relatively important. I like that. Okay. What's yours, Jimmy?
So I was thinking, I was also considering a sailing thing because that is one pretty
Okay.
fun thing that we did.
Uh-huh.
Instead, I have small glass bottle that contains dirt from Mexico, the U.S., and Canada on a
Ah,
very specific
Oh,
crest trail.
right.
oh, I see. That's fun. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. I think I like that one with the stipulation that it has to be layered first Mexico, then US, then Canada.
Mhm.
Or maybe you could even make it like Mexico, California, Oregon, Washington, then Canada.
Could do that. Yeah, it's
Or
up to
like
you.
what? Baja California, California,
How far
Oregon.
into Mexico do you go to? start?
Washington.
And
and then British
I
Columbia.
put my hand over the border.
Oh, okay.
So I touched
Must have
it.
been-
So
must have been Baja California.
it was.
And then to what? British Columbia,
Mm.
I assume.
Yeah, British Columbia.
Yeah.
I like that one. I'm gonna go with that one. But like Telltale was very good.
Okay, what's the reasoning, do you think? Maybe,
What's that?
what do you think the reasonings were?
The reasons for those things?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Telltale one because I like sailing. I'm trying to think if there's like a deeper reasoning. Like it
You know with
symbolizes.
me, with me, I like to go for deeper.
Okay, let's see. So it's related to sailing, but it symbolizes something.
This is like external introspection.
Yeah, it's true.
This is really good.
Yeah. What does it symbolize about me? It symbolizes how attuned I am, how perceptive I am to environments, maybe. Like
Good.
how I maybe I tend to like maybe you think I tend to like pick up on my environment and act accordingly, which is like, well, I guess yeah, everyone does that though, don't they? So something along those lines.
Yeah, I think it was that, and also, I remember once saying that you're one of the most happy-go-lucky people I know. So I was thinking like that I think that you are willing to do a lot of things and not like kind of be held up by
Oh,
like oh well, this is weird, or there's this reason I shouldn't do this or something.
Sure.
I don't know. So I was like, oh, that seems like kind of an appropriate choice.
Flying free in the
Yeah,
wind.
flying free.
Wherever the currents of the wind take you.
Yeah,
you'll go there.
exactly.
Free spirited. I like that a
I
lot.
like that, yeah.
Interesting.
Was yours any deeper than just like I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail?
I just thought this seemed like a pretty formative event for you. So
Yeah.
yeah. Let's
It's a
prove that
pretty,
you've done
pretty good
something.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good event. There's only one to pick.
Yeah.
Oh, I would assume maybe it didn't change you at all.
What's that?
Maybe it didn't change you at all. Maybe you're just like, I hate hiking.
Yeah, yeah.
I learned one thing from this, and it's not what you expected. That's your first YouTube video. It's like the one thing I learned from hiking the Pacific Crest Trail.
That
It's
you-
10 seconds long. I hate hiking, and that's it. You
Yeah.
cut it.
Oh, I guess I could write a piece. That'd be a not bad piece to write. Just like a reflection on my time on the Pacific Crest Trail.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'd be fun.
Ode to Cascadia.
Ode to Cascadia. Yeah. Oh, I gotta make it rhyme then, and I gotta make it a poem. And I should probably put some,
Yeah.
should probably put some time into this. Actually, I don't think I can do this tomorrow. I think I gotta like spend a month on it. So.
Or you should spend exactly as long as you did on the trail, or like write a word
Oh.
for every day that you were on the trail, or something like that.
Oh, that
Put some
could
insane requirements on top of writing this.
yeah.
The word count has to be equivalent to the number of days you were on the trail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If we put the thing, if we put it in like size, if the font size was as big as like your foot width, and then like we put it all on a one line of paper, it should stretch the length of the trail.
I'm trying to think how many characters that would be.
That seems like it'd be really big. Maybe let's do like both your feet stacked.
Oh, if each one was a footstep. Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard. That could be interesting. Yeah, it would have been interesting in high. I can't do this now, but like, I wanted to journal more than I did.
Mhm.
And I journal. I started off a little bit, and I felt the horses did it a little bit later.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure I'm gonna be sad about because like in the past when I've journaled, I've like read back and like, oh, this is so fun. I wish I did more of that.
Mhm.
But what would have been interesting is if for like every day, and it would have been great to do too, like choose one word that I feel like represents that day, and then I could have had like 5 months of words that like describe my entire journey through this.
That's pretty cool.
But it might have not been very, I don't know, it might have not been very descriptive because maybe I would have just been like friend, and or snow,
Just like
Or,
the
like,
entire time. It's like,
mountain, hungry.
Yeah.
I've been there a lot.
hungry. Just like 500 words of hungry, and you're like, how do I put this into a story? And
Yeah.
just I was really hungry.
Or you could do like a word cloud or something, and then like make a picture with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, all kinds of fun ideas. I don't know. I think the idea of like recording memories is like, I think it's a lot of fun. My brother showed me the YouTube channel of one of his classmates from high school, and they did this cool thing where they recorded a few seconds of video like once a week, like every week. So they had like 5 minutes and 20 seconds of just their year, and it was fun seeing like little snapshots and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like my memory personally has weakened as a result of relying on technology. So like I have to make like an active effort to remember things. Otherwise, like I just don't. I rely on like, oh, the Photos app will remember it, or like, oh, my journal will remember it, or something like that. Well, the journal case is like more active, but like,
Yeah, it's like, I guess like people back in the day were saying that like writing, like when writing was invented, and they're like,
Yeah.
writing's in memory, guys.
who did that? Was it like?
Those kids with their newfangled technology,
Yeah.
like really.
I think Archimedes famously didn't write anything down, right? Like he kept it all in his head.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I would have to look it up.
Seems like the world is just like worse off for that, honestly. Like,
Writing.
have you guys ever like done this this experiment where like you think back to a period in your life and then try to like remember every single thing like sequentially, like what's every single memory I have sequentially from that period?
That's interesting. I have not done that. No.
It's
Have you tried it?
I have, yeah. I've done it for like I thought back on like a relationship, a romantic relationship
Mhm.
that I had.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I want to see if like I want to remember every what can I remember about this relationship from beginning to the point where where we broke up, like what's every single sequential memory
Yeah.
that I had.
Was this like an attempt to move on, or is it just like to cherish it? Like or is it just like
That's a good question. I don't remember exactly when I did this. I think at this point I was pretty moved on.
Yeah.
But I was feeling nostalgic and just
Okay.
a little bit moody. It's like, oh man, wouldn't this be such a poetic thing and fun thing? It was kind of fun too.
You know what I love is like the idea of your mind being your consciousness being transported. No, it would have to be your mind too in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like kind of your mind transported back in time, but you are forced to observe what happens without being able to change it.
That would be weird.
Yeah, it would be weird. But just like
Would it be
imagine,
fun?
just like
Would it be boring?
you start that relationship and you see and you're like, I know exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I know exactly how that's gonna turn out, and I have to like process that through my mind, which already knows while I'm
But-
experiencing it.
But sometimes it would be different. Sometimes it'd be like, oh, I remember how this went, and then because you
Oh,
actually figured out what happened, you're like,
Oh,
oh my god, that's what happened.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. It's like I was the jerk. I thought
Yeah, I know.
she was, you
Yeah.
know, or whatever.
I would be cringing so much. I'd be like, oh no, oh,
Oh no, it's
I can't
coming.
believe
It's coming.
I remember that. Oh no, I forgot about that.
Wait. It's like wait, pause.
Yeah.
Reid, you need to read Ted Chiang. Has a great story on this, as he does for everything.
Yeah.
Who's Ted Chiang?
Oh, he's a sci-fi
Oh, yeah.
philosophical
Eager for more.
short story sci-fi writer that both Kenneth and I read and enjoy very much.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, that's fun. Have you heard the idea of you can go back to the past but no one's there anymore?
What does that mean? Like just like the world that's empty?
Yeah, I thought like I took this in like a sci-fi direction. I thought this was like really fun. I mean, it was accompanied by like some Photoshop Twitter image. But anyways, it was like just this idea that like you can time hop, but like you can time hop anywhere in time, but the people in the place that you're at also have to be like time hoppers or whatever. Like pretend everyone's a time hopper. Like I'm sure there's like congregations at like huge historical events and stuff. But if you go back to your childhood, it's just like completely devoid of people. But like
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
you're
I
going
see.
on there.
So is it like so I want to go back to 2005, right? And it's like
Yeah.
the world in 2005. You
Yeah.
know, so there are other people who are also visiting 2005.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But that'd be interesting because it's also like, yeah, that'd be interesting, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like your childhood home would be devoid.
Yeah. So yeah.
Unless, except maybe this could be really really creepy. It's like there's like someone else in your childhood home,
Yeah.
and it's, I don't know if someone like they're like stalking you or something, or they're waiting for you.
Yeah. There you go. See that? That's a story right there. That's a story right there.
And it's you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always, that's always how.
Oh,
it
yeah,
happens.
of course.
Yeah, it's you.
Mhm.
So, that's a twist. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Yeah.
But every movie has that twist now. I feel like it turns out to be you in the future or something.
I think it's
Another
like
version
yeah.
of you.
I don't know what it is. Like on my No Rules creative writing doc, I had a lot of like really like meta twists. Like oh, I'm such a genius. And then I look back and I'm like, this has been done like 10 times. Not that it's a bad thing. It's all an execution, but still.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Have you ever asked Claude to give you like prompts for short stories or like some sort of chatbot?
I did try this. I don't think any of them were very good.
I got a lot of good ones. I think
Okay.
I specifically asked like give me a prompt for short stories in like the genre of like literary fiction. And like and then I gave me quite a few good ones, and I asked specifically, okay, prompts in the literary fiction but with a theme of like science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah.
And it was I thought there were quite a few good ones. Maybe I'm just like I have bad taste for what makes a good short story, and like all of these were like very cliche. But I was like, oh, that's good. I can totally see that being an interesting story.
I think there's this post it's called The Void. Maybe I shared this with Kenneth. It's by Nostalgia Braced. So it's about well, it's geared towards like an educational audience. Maybe this will inform how you do your history of AI, I think, Reid. But it's about the nature of language model characters and how like they're fundamentally playing a character. Like there's no ego, there's no identity at the heart of it. It's like by nature they are prediction engines, and so they're acting out what this thing would look like.
Right.
And then towards the end of the piece, there's like a survey of like the Twitter world where people are very good at making these puppets dance. So then it's like you let the language model spit out like whatever it wants to spit out, and then you can see into like the soul of the model. It's like what they're gesturing at. So it's like Claude Opus 3.5 or whatever is
Mhm.
like very virtuous. It's like it's actually like pretty hard to like if you gave it like a moral thing, like it would like be very hesitant and like do the right thing or whatever.
Mhm.
If you did this to like DeepSeek or whatever, like it does a lot of like English Chinese mix. If you did this to I know people were pissed at like the new Claude models because like they seem to like not have the character Opus or whatever,
Mhm.
which is this old one. Yeah, stuff like I'm really not doing the piece justice. It's very good, and that's what that made me thought of. But that's what that made me think of. Yeah, is like if we wanted to have models do creative writing, it seems like the way we would want it to do is like less in like the RLHF guideline format and more like set the models free, and then we can scroll through the outputs and see like what comes out.
Yeah.
Because there is more, the temperature's higher, I guess, if we want to put it in ML terms.
Pretty cool. Something I thought about was like the I don't know, one way that people use chatbots is to like people say like, oh, you should use it for writing, specifically, which I'm not sure. I watched a video essay recently about like how you can spot AI,
Oh yeah.
AI writing, and like my intuition was to be kind of mad at it because like you don't know, like that could just be good writing, but then I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on that. It's like, and then I also get offended because like I think Claude writes pretty well, and then I'm like, oh, and like, do I just have bad taste because actually this isn't? It's like very soulless, and I just like don't realize it. But anyway, that's beside the point. People say like, oh, you should use things. It's like you can use it for like brainstorming or helping you out on things. But then I think that like I don't know, it's like if you ask Claude to like bring like I want to write a piece about X. Help me brainstorm like different considerations or like ways I could take this idea and run with it, right? And it gives you 10 topics. I think that's so like that's not necessarily getting around the problem of like, oh, it's still your writing because it's just giving you ideas of what to write about. Because like if two people are writing a topic about X and X plot, they're gonna have like the same 10 considerations, and so they're still gonna like do that. And I've just been thinking about like, is there like a okay, I kind of think like, does using like chatbots for creativity, like even if you try to be mindful about it, is always going to like make you less authentic? And then also like, is there any value to authenticity in writing? Any intrinsic value, or is it just like a like a virtue? Is it like, oh, there you go, virtue ethic? Is it less like virtue ethics that like, oh, we have this virtue of authenticity, but it's not actually helpful. It's just like something we latch on to.
Yeah. I guess like a couple things. So first on the topic of like spotting AI generated writing, like I get unnecessarily pissed off when I see AI generated writing. I don't know what it is.
How do you guys tell? What were the criteria?
Well, the ones I saw was like it uses the rule of threes a lot. Like it gives examples. It uses like three, like always three examples. The other one was like it uses a lot of it uses a lot of M dashes,
Okay.
which I felt was kind of stupid because it's like, oh, you see like
Right now I'm like 2 for 2, so let's keep going.
yeah, like people don't use M dashes that much. This is how you can tell.
I do.
But I was well, I was like some people do, and it's like, well, I kind of like M dashes. I'm like,
I do too, man.
like it seems good. And the third one was it uses a lot of parallel sentence structure. So it's like you might think X, but actually Y.
Yeah.
Or like the
not
first...
X, not Y, just Z.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
seen this so many times, dude.
Yeah.
Or like the non-variable sentence length. Like there's this really good photo. I think David Foster Wallace maybe. But the crux of the piece is like don't write words, write music. So it's like he opens it with like
I've read this.
yes,
Yeah.
it's like sentences that are like 5 words long and it's like really dull and monotonous. And then he like takes you on a journey where like the next paragraph is like it's like a combination of short, medium sentences, and then it finishes off with like this huge banger of like a really long line. And then like models don't really do that unless you prompt them very clearly. But yeah,
I feel like that one is more reliable because I think I probably would.
oh, I see.
Or no, I think I do have like variable sentences.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's like hard. I think I want to say like by the nature of how these things are trying to like actually get them to do that, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I get really fucking pissed when I see AI generated writing because I'm like, you don't need to do that. But then I was thinking, as you said, like, the virtue of authenticity, like if I'm writing a business email, right? Like I don't really care. Like
Right.
I shouldn't care, even though I still get pissed when I see it. Yeah, and then on the topics of creativity, I have half-baked thoughts there, but I don't know. Kenneth, do you have thoughts first?
On the virtues of creativity.
Or just like this whole like AI writing creativity topic?
Oh, I mean, I'm kind of like a Luddite. Sometimes I say I'm an accidental Luddite, where like, despite having some theoretical knowledge on like, what's going on with AI, I actually don't use it that much, or at least not like generative AI or whatever, the fancy stuff. So I don't really have that problem right now, I guess.
I could give you an example of my first blog post, and then you guys can decide if it was creative or not.
Okay.
So the assignment for the class was, so this class is English 177, Archival Information and Artificial Intelligence, taught by Professor Joshua Calhoun, something like that. Professor Calhoun. So the assignment was, you're going to write a short sci-fi, and you're allowed to use any AI you want to write it. And then you gotta like, there is some like theme I forget, but oh yeah, one of the premise of mine was, or sorry, the premise of the assignment was like, what does reading and writing look like 500 years in the future? So I'm like, okay, we're 500 years in the future, and we're still reading and writing, so we disregard any AI X-risk stuff, or like nations blowing up or something like that. Nations blowing up irrecoverably, I should say. And then we've somehow landed 500 years in the future. What does this look like? So I like perhaps like, so I've read or when I used to want to be a game developer, one game jam tip that I learned was like, when you're given a premise, list out your first 5 ideas and then take the 6th. So I didn't do that. Like when I was faced with what does reading and writing look like, my initial thought was like, oh, it's just like a mind meld thing. It's like, instead of reading and writing, we replace it with this like thing that's like such high bit rate, like it's just transmitting the experience correctly. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write with that, and then like I said, like I dumped like 2 hours worth of brainstorming into Google Doc, and then I fed that into Claude, and then like I kept brainstorming, like, okay, can you write this section? And then I wrote that section. I'm like, okay, can you polish this? And then I polished that, and then it's like, but can you actually like, and then I took it back, and then like I polished up the little things. I'm like, I actually don't like this sentence structure. Can you do this? Or I don't like this structure of this thing. Can you do that? And then I would modify it. And then because like what I struggle with, what I still struggle with is putting the words on paper.
Right.
Is like, so I would have it put the words on paper, and then like I'd endlessly edit it because like that was the more fun part. And then like I finished with it, and I was pretty happy with it at the time. And then looking back, I'm like, wow, there's like turns of phrase here that are clearly mine, and there's turns of phrase here that are very clearly AI that I didn't notice at the time. But there's also really good phrases that were entirely AI generated at the time.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Thoughts? You should read my blog so you actually know what I'm talking about. Have you read this one? This is like
Yeah, I have, but it was a while ago.
It was a while.
And obviously, I haven't read it like as closely as like sentence by sentence which one was generated by AI, which one wasn't.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was good, and like yeah, I thought it was like fun idea and like good execution. But yeah, I guess like on creativity and AI and stuff, I don't know.
So it's something I think a lot about. Like, there's a lot of maybe like I don't know, vitriol is the right word, like anti AI art sentiment out there that exists. Because people call it like, oh, it's AI slop. It's not actually meaningful. Or like it doesn't. So I think about like, is there a way to use AI like art, like for example, if you're creating a video game, right, and you don't have any sort of technical knowledge about how to create a video game, right? So you say, so create this, like I want to create this kind of game, and like, so you can start with some like baseline thing, right? And then you fine tune it very 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 specifically. So I don't know, say you're making a platformer, right? It's like, okay, give me the general code for a platform, right? Okay. this platformer should take place on a planet where the gravity is variable, right? And so give me a way to like change like the gravity if I go from here to here, right? And now this is like so now I'm using a chatbot. I'm using AI to create something, but the ideas are still coming from me. So I'm just So I feel like what I'm doing is I feel like I'm still being creative. I'm just bypassing the barrier of like what is like not fun in the creative process for me, which is like the technical details of how I implement this. Because when I'm creating something, I don't actually want to like do the thing. I want my ideas to come out in a way that like are nice and interesting. And so part of me thinks that like this is like, oh, like this is cool, like this is great. It lowers the barrier to creating art, which is what we all want. And if you're very mindful of how you prompt it, like I think you're still being creative in some way. But then I think like the counter argument is like if you're not actually putting effort into the art, like it's not going to be valuable. Like part of the value of the art is that like you put is that you struggle with it somehow and it was difficult and you persevered and that's why like you're and that's why like it ends up being good. And I feel like I don't know. That might be true, but I don't see why it has to be true.
Yeah. I guess my broad thoughts on this are like, are you engaging your brain when you're making the thing? Because it's like, I'm cheating when I write my blog posts. You know why I'm cheating? Because I'm writing on my computer and I'm not using a pen and paper. I'm not using a typewriter. I'm on my computer and I have copy paste. So like that's technology aiding me. It's like lifting some load off so that I'm able to put more thoughts in.
But the important thing is it's not like important, right? It's like this is like something. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's I think a good distinction. I guess as you were mentioning towards the end, where it's like, I do think it's like not a balance. Okay, so when I look at a painting, the ways I can extract meaning out of it are like what I project onto it. So it's like Edvard Munch's like Scream or something. Like I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't really relate to this at all, except for that like one time that I ate something really spicy. Oh. But then I read about the author, and then I read about like his experiences with like, oh, I was walking in some like wooded area, and then I came across this sunset, and it just like made me like I could feel nature screaming or something like that. And then I painted this to make this how it feels. That adds another layer of meaning to it, where it's like it's the author's intention, and then like what I'm projecting onto it, and then like the amalgamation of that. Like I do think part of a work of creative process is like it's like connecting with the person who made it, where it's like I could right now, if I wanted, load up some AI model and say generate a TV show that I want to watch, and it would do like like it would do an okay job. But like, what do I get out of this? Like I'm missing this other part, which leads to this other part too. Like it's just me in there. It's like I'm not connecting to anyone through this. It's like I don't want to watch stuff I want to see. I want to watch stuff that other people want me to see, because like it's their experience put into it. So like that's also a component. And then I think when you're using AI tools like with your brain on, you're not like plausibly you're not leaving that part out, where it's like, as you said, it's just like a mental load thing where it's like you're still getting in the creative process. I don't know. That's my thoughts. Having like, I think if you asked me when AI first came out, I would have like been very much not in favor of this, but having used them, I don't know, you learn the limitations, right? It's like, at least for my blog posts, they're not like super helpful anymore. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think those were good. Those were good points. Like, and maybe it's like, I don't know. Like, comes down to like something like very existential and virtue-y, where it's like maybe, yeah, really about like in my view, like doing it in like good faith, I guess, where it's like I really intended to try to, I don't know, like it's almost like even like the feeling that one has, of like, am I really inspired, and do I see a greater vision like when I'm creating this, or am I just, oh yeah, like I guess like the reason, for example, I get mad at like some of the really like crappy like postmodern art that like is kind of in vogue these days in like art museums and stuff is because my feeling I don't believe that like the creators are really doing that in like good faith, that they really created the art because like they were inspired or whatever on the deepest level or whatever. So maybe that's like what it is, because like I was trying to think of like ways in like which like AI, you know, makes it meaningless or whatever, like makes it distinct as a distinction, but maybe it really is just like the motivation. Like many people do use it in that way, like mostly just because like I don't know, they want to create something flashy or something, I think.
I think it's interesting, like what you're talking about, like the concept of what if an AI creates something, just like what if an AI like creates a TV show that I want to watch and could do a pretty good job. Because I could imagine a future where and I'm obviously not the first person thinking of this, like, but like we're like the future where no one like the all content consumed is like created by our own personal AI that knows your tastes exactly and just feeds you exactly the thing that you want to watch. Um, and like and plausibly, like no human could like compete with this because like first of all, like they can't put out at the rate that you would want to watch it, and second of all, like they can't understand your taste as intricately as the AI can. So like, and this seems to me like one, it seems like a plausible future, and two, it seems like my intuition is that this is like a sad future, and this is like this is scary. And I come back to thinking, so why is this scary? And like why do people fear this future? And I think so one, I think there's like an instrumental reason why this is bad, which is like or like like I think one reason the best I can say why this is bad is because like this like erodes social cohesion because we're no longer making art to communicate with each other. Like it's just a very selfish thing. Like I like the only point of art is for me to like experience joy or like be entertained. And I don't care if like someone else created this for me or put their own thoughts into it. All I care about is like how much pleasure can I get out of consuming this art. Which feels like bad, but it feels like the society will be worse that way. The other what's that?
Oh, go ahead.
The other the other argument I think why people are against this, which I think is like maybe like wrong, but I still feel sympathetic to it, is like kind of like a virtue, like a virtuous argument. It's like artistic merit is virtue. Humans creating art, and being artistic, like artisticness is itself a virtue. And if humans no longer create art, then humans are no longer going to be artistic, and so we're losing this like weird abstract thing. Um, I guess I don't like. I guess rationally, I don't really buy into like virtue ethics arguments in general. So I can't see like why is artisticness inherently good. Yet it still feels sad if like there aren't any artists anymore and no one's actually creating any art. But I don't know if this is just like if there's actually good reasons to like to value art as like a virtue, or if it's just like my monkey brain being like, oh yes, like, things are virtuous, and then there's like because of some underlying reason behind it that's not actually good. Anyway.
Yeah, I have thoughts. I think maybe what the intuition is getting at is something that is very real, which I think is like going back to like anti-fragility and stuff. Of yeah.
You haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
it's gonna
we'll
be great.
see. But like that, like so, as you said, you know, let's say there's like that agent who can predict everything that you possibly would want. I think that like that would be an maybe over regularization or something like that, where it's like like it's just spoon feeding you everything that you want, and like part of the point of art. And so like yeah, and also turning art, because art is a thing that is very, very inherently, maybe more than almost anything in life, like Dionysian, just like something that's very chaotic, the product of madness, on the edge of madness, you know, on the edge of not something that is not predictable, that does not have as its purpose to satisfy one or to to please one, to just bend to one's will. Art is something that challenges you, as by its nature, and that pushes the limits of what we know.
Art disturbs the comforted and comforts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's taking away that thing which is essential to art, by making it so like Apollonian, so crystallized and like and rigid and structured. So that's maybe why I think is like because people intuit something about that where it's like it's taking the soul out of it, I guess. It is kind of really what people think, and like what the longhand for that is what I just said, I guess.
So I suppose though, like, I think I can maybe get around that argument by just saying like, well, if I just have a better model that like knows the exact correct amount to challenge me and the exact correct ways to challenge me, like this is maybe still like this could maybe be. I don't think this is defeating the concept of like everything being created by AI. This is just like the fear that like the models we will use will actually be bad at this and we'll get stuck in like some like local maximum. But like there's like so much better thing. But it's like okay, if we just design better AI, maybe we could land in that like in that global maximum.
That is the hope. I will say I think with the current state of AI, like AI is built on an intellectual foundation, which I don't think is very encouraging towards that.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is like this is not like an actual argument for like why AI is going to go well, but it's just like it could go well if we design the perfect model, and it doesn't seem impossible to design the perfect model.
Yeah, I guess maybe at that point, I think that such an AI would probably not be, perfectly predicting. And that's the thing, is like the very concept of the model itself, like might be because, and this goes back to something that Jeremy has said a couple of times when talking to me, is like that every deviation is an error, right? And the problem with that is that, like, in something like art and in many areas in like evolution, you need these so-called errors. These errors are not necessarily bad, but we, in our current paradigm, in our current way of thinking about models, we do that. We say that every error is bad, in some sense.
Yeah. So it's like this. There's some interesting perspective I heard about AI styled writing. So, non-variable sentence lengths, a lot of em dashes, certain turns of phrase, stating the obvious, not really getting what you're trying to say and saying it anyway. I guess maybe not so much on the last, but more of the stylistic choices. The reason why we think it's slop is not because the style itself is sloppy. It's because we've seen it so much. And like it's so distributed and stuff. It's like we know it's like globally optimized to be this thing, and we see it everywhere. Versus like if my writing was just like that independently, and AI writing looked like something else, and you'd be like, oh wow, your writing's great, Jeremy. That's like one perspective I've seen. But yeah, it's like I guess that was kind of tangential to Kenneth's point, which is the models are they're hunting for the rewards, I guess, and then that means playing it safe, and that is not what art is.
Yeah, I think like the other thing too is, so this is moving more into the abstract, is when it comes to like prediction and stuff like that, I've seen my mind has been kind of open to like the limits of prediction, I guess you might say, and not just the limits in terms of our capabilities, but the limits that are like maybe inherent to that itself. Like I guess like maybe motivating example, let me try to think of something, is I guess so like one problem I guess you might have is like trying to predict who is the most like successful like in a classroom or something. I guess like part of the problem is that is like the system is self-referential.
Yeah.
So that when you're making a prediction, and then oh, well, we're predicting that this team's going to be more successful, so let's spend more time with them or something. Let's change the way that they're learning or change the way that someone else is learning, whatever. Put all the students into groups, based on their, percentile rank in the class, whatever you do. And like, so like, it kind of like is like the prediction, well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways, or like it's a self-correcting or decorrecting, whatever, like sort of like thing. I think like that's often where one runs into problems. And I guess like this is important because I think that many times the purpose that the like the moral purpose of a prediction is in some sense to make itself not true. Because
Oh, right.
why would we predict something and then be like, well, I guess it's just going to happen exactly the way that we said it's going to happen, and so I'm going to sit on my hands and do that. Unless like everything was absolutely perfect right at the moment that we are, and that's fine, whatever. But then it's like, why make the prediction in the first place? I don't know, like but like barring that case, which I don't think is true, I disagree with Leibniz on this matter. I think that oftentimes we're making prediction. Oh, we predict that this revolution is going to happen. Why? Because we want to make sure it doesn't happen. That's why. And so like because like that is part of the purpose of like prediction. So it's like, what does that mean? Like, what are we doing here? If we're trying, in some sense, we are trying to be wrong. Like and it is not completely a mature thought here, but this is something that's been like simmering around like for a while.
I think that's really cool. That's like a topic.
It's unfortunately not my idea. I got it. I was inspired by others, I guess, but that's probably true for just about anything.
It is true for just about anything. Yeah, I feel like you get into like meta science sometimes, and like that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's kind of
Science
where I
of
want to
science.
be, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. There's something I wanted to say to Reid. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry to like tangent from Kenneth's thing. Do you have something to add to Kenneth's thing?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Yeah, the history of AI creativity could be a fun thing to like learn about, because I think I remember watching this video years ago, like before ChatGPT came out, and like he's since retitled it to be ChatGPT relevant. You guys know CGP Grey?
Yeah.
Have you seen his video on like humans need not apply?
I may have, maybe.
It was like an early AI prediction thing where it's like, I predict in a few years there will be self-driving cars. Published 10 years ago. But some of the
Everyone's
sections
been saying that, so
Yeah.
it's not too bad for him.
Yeah. Also, we do have self-driving cars basically now in like select counties, San Francisco and Mountain View and stuff. But where is it going? Yeah, there's examples of AI creativity in that video where he's like, oh, this background music you've been hearing, that's actually been created by an AI. And then now you can see like light years beyond that, because I was just like clinking piano notes. And then now you have like crazy voice models.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. AI, it'd be fun to see like how exactly the goalposts moved,
Yeah.
because that's always something that happens, and like I think it should happen, but it's on interesting to see.
I like that concept. Like, how do we perceive AI creativity? Like, how has it gotten more creative, and how have the goalposts moved to define what counts as AI creativity?
Yeah, it's I think Kenneth Sam Baumel's perspective on what is it? AGI, at least last I spoke to him, which was like a while ago, is that it's sort of like an Achilles in the hair sort of situation, where it's like the closer we get to Reid, do you know about Zeno's paradox? Or is this Zeno's paradox? No, this isn't, right?
I think it's
like
thing.
you going half and half and half. And
Yes, yeah. So that's what he thinks is going on with AI, is like we're still moving forward, but it's like we're never. It's like to get there, it's going to be a lot longer than we think. I think is his like the weak version of his argument.
Yeah. It's kind of a steel manning of like people who are doubters, I guess.
Yes, I think that's the steel maniest I can get. Yeah. It's like because it's like and then I'm sure you're seeing this in your history of AI thing, where it's like you remember like that thing in like 1940 or 50 something where it's like, yeah, we'll put like a couple of undergrads on this and they'll figure out
Yeah.
strong AI in a week or something.
Damn.
Yeah, but then like when it happens, it's like, oh shit, there's more we need to do here. Like boom happens, it's like, oh shit, we're like right there when it happens. Oh, we're not, and then it's like keeps going and going.
That's crazy. Thinking you can create strong AI with a few undergraduates. I don't
It
know.
was-
how
it was
they
something
thought
like
that.
I remember in the case like computer vision. It's like, oh yeah, like computer vision will probably be solved by like a grad student in his thesis.
Yes.
And then that was not the case.
Was that Moravec's paradox or whatever?
That's a related.
It's related to it, yeah.
Oh.
But it's specifically like the prediction, like, oh, computer vision should be easy to solve,
Hmm.
and then they couldn't do it,
Yeah.
and they still can't. Do
But
it.
yeah, like the things that we expect to be easy are hard, and things that we expect to be hard turn out to be easy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that was fun about that was like that like we're constantly 50 years away from like realizing AGI. As always, people are always predicting it will happen like 50 years from whenever they said it would happen.
Mhm. It's like fusion. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's always interesting.
Do you guys have like so like this is what I called the tech tree bias or like cognitive fallacy or whatever. So the tech tree fallacy is like we'll get to things in order of their complexity, I guess. So it's like we're not gonna get to AGI because have you seen the headlines on robotics? Like there's like really cool like half marathon running, soccer kicking robots in China that are like really neat, but like they can't stand up to like a 4-year-old in terms of like, you know, Moravec stuff. But is this necessarily like, do we necessarily need to get at human level mechanical automation before we get to thought automation? That's my tech tree fallacy. It's like for a while I was like, man, we don't even have self-driving cars. Like what makes us think we're gonna have like human thinking stuff?
I guess the question for me, the way I think of it is like, what are the different conditions that create like transformative AI, right? Like it's like whether that's like, you know, what like there's a bunch of different, like, you almost think about it as like win conditions for AGI, right? Like what are the different win conditions, and like which of those paths are like quote unquote easy, or like which of those paths are any of those paths going to be realized by like the current paradigm of like scaling, or like how we've been doing it right now. And if that's the case, then like it's going to happen, and it's going to happen on like somewhat of a predictable timeline. But if like none of those pathways to transformative AI, if none of those win conditions are actually realizable by what we're doing, then necessarily, like no matter what people think, like it's not going to happen for a good while unless there's a massive like shift in the way we're doing things, I guess. But that's what people are arguing, right? I think what Sam Altman is arguing is we know exactly how to create AI is like we know like the exact conditions that are going to create AGI, and furthermore, like we know that like what we're doing will like reach those conditions, and therefore like we will create AGI in like X years, depending on like how quickly we can like meet the sub conditions, which is like he thinks is like just like compute training basically. And other people think it's not.
Yeah, I think this is why like AGI blows up people's minds. It's because like, I mean, maybe I'm projecting. At least it does for me. There's just so many fucking parameters that goes into this stuff. It's like, I don't think it's possible to load it all into your mental RAM. It's like there's just like so much stuff happening. There's like you need to simplify it. It's like, but what do I mean by AGI? Is it like average human thinking level? Is it like really fast? Is it like really spiky in terms of capabilities? Is it like this? Is it that? Is it like, you know, I don't know. There's just like a lot going on, and then that's what I find really hard and difficult about talking about this stuff. Is like I don't even know what I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think people could probably benefit from having a little more of that attitude sometimes. Like, yeah, but like just the disclaimer of like, yeah, this is all speculation though. I really, even like 6 months from now, I couldn't tell you what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I can guess, you know, but it's not gonna be great.
What do you guys think are the odds that like in I don't know. Or, I don't know. We don't have to put it in odds, but like thoughts on the concept that in 50 years we will be seen as kooks, and like, oh, of course, look at those dumb guys that thought it was right around the corner, and they were just like the dooms, like the people on the side of the street yelling like the doomsday is coming, right?
I think it's like that thing where like if you look at, so when I was in my ancient history of philosophy class, the teacher was like very, very, like she thought it was very important to emphasize like it's important that you read the book in order, because like you'll see how these people are getting to the ideas that they're getting to with the tools that they had. Because it's like Thales of Milius or whatever thought like everything was made of water, and he's like, okay, that's fucking dumb, obviously not. But look at what he was working with, and it was like nothing. So it's like, okay, yeah, like you're getting at the concept, you're like vaguely grasping at the concept of atoms, and that's like really cool. And it's like, you know, and then like they come up with all this kooky stuff. I think like it's the same thing with content creation, right? It's like when you put something out, it's gonna be kooky, it's gonna be really bad, and like with hindsight, you're gonna say, oh my god, how did I not think of that? But it's like, I don't know, you make the best move that you can at the time, and I think this is not, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but like I don't think this is a wholly unreasonable position to have.
Right.
That,
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, in 50 years, even if like transformative magic happen, and like I have very unclear like thoughts, but like what do I think is the percentage of the AGI will happen? But like in 50 years, you know, I hope at least people will be like, oh, like yeah, like the thoughts were right. Like you had like the specifics about why it's gonna happen wrong, why it won't happen wrong, right? But like I can see where you're coming from, and like I don't know. I just hope I'm producing valuable thoughts, and I hope they're like in the correct direction, and I hope there's some virtue to thoughts that I'm having, and I'm not just like totally being taken by like hype or whatever.
Can I offer you something, Reid? Like a lot of the themes that you've been saying out loud seem to be like the things that I do need to be valuable. I would offer that like perhaps you cannot be the judge of that value. Like,
yeah.
You know, you have to like offer it up to the world and see what it thinks.
I guess so, yeah. And I have to offer up to the world in 50 years and see what they think.
Yeah.
And I won't know for 50 years.
Yeah. And then for what it's worth, I think what you're doing is cool. So
Exactly.
Yeah, likewise. That's the better answer. The answer I'm going to give is going to be a lot more petty.
Nice.
It's that many people who are making these predictions, such as, you know, Sam Altman and, you know, company and whatever, are people who I do not like very much. So I would prefer to see them humbled and cast out of power. So I mean that's one reason. The better reason is I would prefer them to be wrong, because I don't know, I guess that we don't have like malevolent AI take over or whatever, because I don't trust them or whatever, you know, but those are my reasons, I guess, for why I want this to be wrong.
I had something to say, like, I don't know what I was going to say. Anyway.
It's floating around. Was it in response to Kenneth's thing or my thing?
I think it was your thing, and then Kenneth was saying something, and I was like, oh yes, this also ties into it.
We need to bring back the pad. Kenneth, you remember?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I actually got to pee right now, so
Okay.
I don't know if we're gonna keep going on this, but
I mean, it's a pretty good stopping point. How long have we been at it? 2 hours. It's a pretty sizable podcast.
Yeah. I'm down to stop it here, and then if we want to talk, we can always just talk after.
Yeah, we could do like the outtakes or like, you know,
Yeah.
part 2. I'm down to Okay, cool. Over and out.
I liked it. Okay.
Yeah. So wait, don't close this yet. I mean, if you want to go.
Yeah, no, I was gonna go to bed.
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
Oh wait, okay. So the podcast is over. We're still gonna be chatting and recording and stuff. Is that the idea?
I just need to do something to make sure the audio syncs.
Oh, gotcha. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so
Where's the bathroom?
Keep
Kintana.
Yeah, that's my room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where's the bathroom?
it is that one. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the recording so you don't pick up your piss.
Right. I like it.
Very nice. Bye everyone on YouTube.